Hello, my name is Kate Kern-Mundy, and if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. In this video, I'm sharing one of my go-to painting exercises, a timed painting. Sometimes when I need to get myself started in the studio, I set a time limit to loosen up and focus on making quick and deliberate decisions. For this piece, I worked from a reference photo of a church in my neighborhood. I think it's called St. Mary Magdalene de Pisa. I'd already sketched out the perspective a couple days beforehand, so I decided I wanted to turn it into a timed painting. I set 45-minute timer and got to work. And what you can see here is everything I accomplished within that time frame. Here I'm scumbling in the paint. This technique is called scumbling. I'm using a hog's bristle brush, really going in hard with it. And I want you to pay close attention to the brush strokes throughout this process. I often emphasize brushwork with my students, encouraging them to think about types of marks they make. Right now I'm using a Da Vinci size 5 flat hog's bristle brush to scrumble in that dark area at the top and the bottom of the painting. This brush has hog bristles, which can take a lot of pressure and allow me to build up that texture and really fill in the surface with paint and work quickly. You can see me going in and just banging in that color. I'm using the side of it as well as the flat of it. This scene is a nocturne. It's a really dramatic silhouette of the church against the vivid sunset. The sky had these incredible clouds, and I wanted to capture that contrast. I'm layering in these darks, and it helps create some depth and some variation in tone. Now you can see that I'm blending in the sunset colors. I'm using a Princeton Bright No. 6 synthetic flat brush. Or a synthetic bright brush. This brush mimics soft natural hairs like a mongoose or a sable, and it allows for really smooth blending and really sharp, crisp lines. Using this brush, I can add those warm colors and letting them mix subtly with the surrounding colors. I'm also here using an older hog's bristle Isby Filbert size 3, which I've worn to a really nice fine point over the years to put in some of those little marks. You'll notice a timer in the corner of my video counting down. I've cut out the parts where I'm mixing colors or wiping and cleaning off my brush so that every time a brush leaves the frame, I'm either loading it up with more paint or I'm wiping off the brush. One thing I want you to observe is how I hold my brush. Sometimes I grip it like a pencil, only rarely. When I need real precision, but most of the time I hold it further back for looser or expressive strokes. Sometimes almost like a conductor conducting. Varying your grip changes the quality of your marks and the way the paint adheres to the surface. And it helps create movement and texture in your painting. So I encourage you to develop your mark making. It enhances your style. I'm laying in some of that purple. These are some phthalo blue, ultramarine blue in there, some dioxazine purple. Again, back with that Da Vinci No. 5 flat. This video is also sped up to be about twice the speed that I would normally be working. See, I'm just dragging it almost like a spatula across there to drag the paint on. helping create that cloud texture. So here I'm using a palette knife to scrape away some of the thick paint. This isn't just for corrections. It's a blending tool that softens edges and it creates some interesting transitions through there. So it'll change the line a little bit and soften some of those crisper lines where I want it to be a little more subtle. And then now I'm using some, I'm back in with the hog's bristle, getting some of those darks in there. So this is a mixture of ultramarine and, so now I'm using this is a Da Vinci bright flat, and I'm using this one, and then the smaller size I'm going to use, this is the number 8, and I'm also going to use number 6. They're synthetic, they're an alternative to sable, and it just, you can do details, and they're soft, so they can lay colors on top more effectively. You see, just laying in there. It's excellent for blending. I try not to scumble with these because it'll mess up the bristles. I try to be gentle and kind to them. But here I'm putting in some of that detail. So as I work, I'm keeping duplicate brushes handy, one for dark colors and one for light ones, and this saves times and prevents muddiness. If you look closely, you'll see that none of the dark areas are pure black. Instead, I'm mixing deep tones using burnt umber, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, and Windsor green, which create rich, complex dark colors. So here I'm back in with the Sableline brush, the size 6 Da Vinci flat, and I'm trying to use it to create some straight lines here. But I'm struggling here a little bit to get some of these straight lines in, and I recently learned that an excellent maul stick is using a back scratcher. So you'll see that come in a minute there, where I use that. I can rest my hand on it for to steady my grip. So there, this back scratcher comes in, I have to figure out how to place it, and then I can just rest my hand on there and then draw my straight line. One thing you can do too is you can use a dry brush to remove paint or soften an edge if you want to. So again, this is a Princeton synthetic bright brush. It's dry, there's no paint in it. I'm pulling away some of the paint where I struggled to get that line straight. And it's revealing the underlying sky, so I can refine that edge. So again, going in, doing my edges there, putting in some detail, building up some of my darks, getting in those touches of color. This is in South Philly, in a neighborhood I've lived in for a long time, and I love these evening silhouettes. So again, mixing that color. Within the church, it's more of a blue. I'm using more ultramarine blue, and in the bottom, I'm using more of that purple and brown to create that those dark silhouettes. So as that timer counts down, I am realizing I've got to really step it up and get this painting done. So I'm focusing here now on final touches. I'm going to deepen the darks. I'm refining some of the edges. I'm trying to get the last bits of the clouds in there, figure out how to make the clouds look like they're moving across the sky. I'm adjusting some of the colors in the clouds here and the color transitions, bringing in some of those oranges. I can drag the brush across, blending that rich blue with these yellows and oranges so that it really does feel like those dark clouds. And blending it into these warm sunset tones to create that soft glowing effect. So now in the last few minutes, I'm going to be bringing in the palette knife again. I want to subtly soften some of those areas and push certain details to the background. Trying to get in some of those little nuances that help make the painting more interesting. So yes, again, scumbling in here, blending. Bringing some touches of white. This is a round filbert brush. That's what you can accomplish in about 45 minutes. And this is what my palette looks like. All these darks, a little bit of warms, everything's within a certain color range.